Und jetzt kommt die Frage, was geht's
And
eigentlich
now
in
we'd
dem
like to ask the
Projekt?
question, what is this project all
Es ist schon ein
about?
bisschen klar, und
What has
zwar
been
würde
done
ich
so
jetzt unseren
far? And now I
Projektmanager, den
would
Max
like
Rossberg,
to call
ans
on
Wort
Max Rossberg,
begrüßen.
our project manager.
Miteinander. Max Rossberg.
My name is Max Rossberg.
Ich habe die Ehre, dieses Projekt
It is a great honor for me to be part of this project and organize all of these different activities. And I'd like to give you an overview of what we are doing at Livestock Protect. Livestock Protect, the name explains it all.
Und Protect heißt Schutz.
We want to protect livestock animals. The project itself is based in the German-speaking Alpine countries in the EU space. In Austria, all provinces or all states are involved. In Germany, it's Italy, and in Italy, South Tyrol, and a little bit of Trentino.
Auch in zusätzlichen Gesprächen hochkommt. Dieses Projekt wird mit
This project is funded only with a rate of 75%. The remaining 25% are from the partners themselves.
Budgets.
They are from their own budgets, and we
Hand nehmen, damit wir diesen Herdenschutz auch umsetzen können. Und
take money in our hands to hear.
Den Schwerpunkt auf Rinder und Pferde haben, betrifft es eigentlich alle Arten. Ob es Gänse sind, Schweine sind, Schafe, Ziegen sind natürlich die, die am meisten durch die Presse gehen.
Sheep, cattle, pigs are the ones. You hear me now, okay. So the main thing that we're looking at is herd protection and agriculture. The overall budget is 3.6 million euros funded by the EU. And with our contribution, we have almost 5 million euros over a project period of 5 years.
Max, kurze
Das, ich, ganz
Zwischenfrage.
Max, excuse me, I have a question.
Kannst du auf Vollbild schalten?
Could you share your screen with a full screen?
Den ganzen Bildschirm, da kam die Rückmeldung, dass es ein bisschen klein ist.
Ja, sorry. Habe ich eigentlich gemacht in PowerPoint.
Actually, I wanted to share the full screen in PowerPoint, but something went wrong.
Muss mal Stop-Share machen. Das ist jetzt lustig.
Also schaut so aus, als hättest du den ganzen Bildschirm geteilt. Wahrscheinlich funktioniert es, wenn du nur die Präsentation teilst.
Ja.
Perhaps you have to share the entire presentation with the screen. I don't know. PowerPoint.
Können wir nochmal? Geht's jetzt?
Jetzt ist super.
Now it's a full screen.
Aufgrund der Anfrage, die eben reingab mit der Nagelflugkette. Es ist so, dass bei diesem Projekt die landwirtschaftlichen
In this project, the agricultural organizations play a big role. A lot of these projects are from the scientific world, but with this particular project, and we've heard this before, Bio Austria, Bioland, but also the South Tyrolean Association, Agrardynamische Ökologische Verband South Tyrol. There's also a team leader, Bavarian Bund Südtirol, and Project Management European Wilderness Society. This is an overview, but you can also see that on our website with all the partners that are part of the project. But I think we had some kind of gamble because we heard a lot of for and against the topic, and organizations have joined forces which usually wouldn't have, or perhaps wouldn't have collaborated at a project. We have state institutions, we have NGOs, we have agriculture in the project, but also research institutions. The project goals, we could almost call them banal or self-explanatory, because what we want to do is to disseminate information and training about livestock protection to the mainstream. So we want to inform and train.
Ganz klar, dass das Projekt jedem interessierten Nutztierhalter offen steht, egal ob jetzt
Organic farmers are a focal point, but this project is open to anyone who keeps animals, either conventionally or organically. And usually the training is provided by experienced agricultural herd protection experts. It includes all livestock species, which I've said before, and which is important. I want to make this very clear, there are no direct or indirect measures taken or propagated to protect wolves. So what we try here is to really focus on livestock protection, because the issue of wolves is not only a societal topic, but also a topic that will be defined and discussed by the EU or at EU level, and we cannot really it doesn't really make sense for us.
Nächster Punkt ist auch wichtig.
So what we focus on livestock protection.
Das ist uns so vorgegeben, denn für Herdenschutz, die Finanzierung.
We have no subsidies for herd protection acquisition. They are not financed, because this is the task of the EU and of the states, and we would have a double financing. So no, we don't buy rolls and rolls of net fences and then give them to the farmers. This is what the nations and the EU are supposed to do. So we concentrate on training, knowledge transfer, and cooperation with responsible organizations.
Und ich habe jetzt ein paar schöne Fotos. Es geht darum,
I have a few lovely photos. What are we doing? We are working at all levels. On the one hand side, you can see an area with that is high up in the mountains, but also extreme situations on the right-hand side, up to 2,700 meters above sea level. But we also operate on grassland, where we work more with fences than with guard dogs. In other words, there is not one region that we omit. Before I continue, I'd like to say what this is actually all about, because very often in the discussion, it revolves around fences, fences, fences. There are different types of protection measures that you can combine. The fence is challenging to put up, that is true, but it's probably the simplest method of livestock protection. Night pens can be helpful when a fixed fence or a fence cannot be installed. This is when we start working with night pens. The shepherd is there when there are more meetings with wolves. And if you have a wolf pack or golden jackal or whatever right next to you, then the herd protection dogs or the guard dogs are also part of the combination. And in alpine space, we don't really talk about fences anymore, because mountain pastures at 2,700 meters and a fence is actually an illusion that will work. When we do training, we focus on the basics, electricity, fence construction. We are not talking about 2,000 volt. We are talking of up to 10,000 volt. We do technical days, technology days. I'll also hear a lot about guard dogs. And also we work with universities of applied sciences to train the next generation. Here are a few pictures on the left-hand side. Shepherds who did the training in Balean in South Tyrol at University of Applied Sciences, also fence construction and the newest technology to, for example, this is a 2-kilometer fence with 5 strands that can be put up in half an hour. There is information on the construction of fences, but also on solar technology and cutting the grass around the fences. Gates are always a vulnerable spot, and how can you quickly put up fences? Because at the moment the costs are unfortunately not covered, and to keep the costs down. We also have fallow deer that needs to be protected, of course, and we also work a lot with other actors. Guard dogs or shepherding dogs, I don't want to make a big difference between them because we need both, but we focus on them in our breeding program and training program. We can learn a lot from Bavaria. We need a good legal framework, but we also need to make sure to pass on the knowledge. Livestock protection dogs or guard dogs protect no matter whom: horses, goats, pigs, anyone, no matter if they're fenced in or walking freely. These dogs are enormous keys, but we still have to learn a lot from the regions who have been using these dogs also in touristic areas. Of course, we also have stakeholder meetings. We work with touristic regions, but also with CAP 2027, of course. This is what it looks like when we have events, for example, or here are pictures of the guard dogs together with tourists. How can a peaceful coexistence happen between the carnivores and the herd and the dogs, and also the use of the territories? No project without a bit of research, I would say. We are even working on a software at the moment, because in some areas the experts can get a compensation to make herd protection measures possible or support. And we are also working on making sure that what we say stands against the test of time. And not everyone has time to go to courses or conferences, which is why we also have online possibilities. We also have an exhibition about the shepherd. And who was the person who announced the birth of Jesus to the three kings? It was a shepherd, and we'd like to highlight the role of the shepherds, the protective role of shepherds during the centuries and millennia. Young farmers is also a big issue, and especially when we talk about them, it seems that it can be a generational problem, because young people are much more open compared to those who are at the end of their time as an active farmer. On the left-hand side, you can see young farmers, different kind of net fences. On the right-hand side, the shepherd training. We also go to fairs and have many interesting conversations there. And this is the end of the presentation. Before I show you a few pictures, funding is a challenge. And this is a challenge, I believe, we can only tackle if we do what France does by using EU funding. And this table here, I'll share my presentation with you afterwards. This table shows that only France uses EU funds at the moment to the fullest, not only for buying fences or dogs, but also to pay for the maintenance of the fences, of the dogs, and even the payment of the shepherds and the shepherds' lodgings. And in Germany, we see, well, almost next to nothing. So neither Austria nor Germany are at the moment using the funds provided, or the funding tools by the EU to make livestock protection possible. To conclude, unfortunately, this conference is not in Düsseldorf on site, but we had a few different webinars with shepherds, and there will be another one from the season 2022 with 5 shepherds who told us about what went well, and also have an outlook on 2023. And then I hope we will have an event in 2023 in South Tyrol and a conclusion conference or a final conference at the end. If you have any more questions, and I think I may have been too fast, I hardly ever hear that, but I tried to keep it short. There are people you can talk to. You also find these people on the website. The lead partner, as you've heard, is Bio Austrian, Lower Austrian, Vienna, with Otto Gasselich, and Magdalena Doppler, my second in command, is unfortunately not here today, so I'm in charge of project management and PR. In Südtirol, it's Julia Stauder by Euract, and in Bavaria, it's Uwe Friedl by Bund Bayern. Martin, I think this is the end of my presentation, and I can see a black screen.
Max, thank you very much. I hope you are not at the end, maybe with your presentation, but not all in all. So there is now also time for questions to Max Rossberg. There are two possibilities. Either you can ask your questions in the chat, or also by raising your voice, so to speak. I have Harald Renner's question: which parameters become attributes, he asks.
In this,
there are currently two approaches. The first is that we check whether a surface is available. If it is accessible, then it is possible to take materials there by vehicle. If it is too steep, then fences become more difficult, also with rocks. So this is an indicator. Ultimately, it is important that every kind of farmer takes measures. Sometimes these would be herders, but they also need refuges. The question then arises, where are refuges available? The same thing applies to water supply. Pastures are increasingly suffering from drought. If we do not have enough water there, then it will be difficult to do guided grazing there. We will present that. We will check it on 10 kind of areas whether this works, and one thing is very clear: it is only a recommendation. It is not about possible or not possible. It is just about what could be possible and what can be tried out. Thank you, Max. Then there's a second question by Mr. Rennen, which is, why does Germany access or tap EU funds? Is there some kind of political blockade? Well, I don't want to go down to the level of politics and politicians. I think some time has to be passing. EU is providing funds. They have been trying for them to be tapped into, but perhaps there has been a blockage caused by lack of knowledge. What is very important for you all, however, is the message that these funds are available. If we don't ask for them, we will not get them. So for Bioland and everybody else, it is important to point out to our political representatives and agricultural representatives that we need these funds. Without that, it will be difficult. You say you don't have those funds, go and get them from the European Union.